The big news from Sony is that this car, the Vision-S, has been spied testing out on public roads. I think you all remember the Sony Vision-S from CES 2020. It's Sony's kind of new electric car that they said that they never wanted to really keep developing further. They just wanted to make this as a test to see what they could do with the platform supplied by an outside company, and then they wanted to take all the tech that they knew when it comes to cameras and displays and stuff like that and just smack it into the car here. But already from the get-go, it seemed kind of weird to me that Sony would make an entire car like this that doesn't even look like a prototype. The prototype they brought to CX looked pretty much production ready. So today, the big news from Sony is that this car, the Vision-S, has been spied testing out on public roads. So that means that they are not stopping this project, and it seems as if they're now testing it for real-world climates and stuff like that to make sure that it is getting to a stage where they might be able to put this in production. And that's interesting because they chose to really tone down the ambitions with the project when it was introduced. But here it is out testing in the middle of the winter somewhere in Europe. And I think I'm not bashing Sony at all. I think this is exactly what they should have done. They should have just kept going with this project and tried to really make this ready for production. I think that's exactly what they're doing right now. I want to talk to you about what they're doing at the moment and all the things that the tech that they put in the Sony Vision-S. I really hope this is the case, and I really want to have this be a competitor to, let's say, a Tesla. It looks almost like a Tesla Model 3. I'm going to talk to you about the design in just a minute here. I'm going to show you the front and the rear view as well, and jump into Photoshop and sketch over it and show you exactly what I think about this design here. But first, let's have a look at some of the spec in tech. So as you can see, it has 33 sensors, a LiDAR, radar, and cameras, plus 360-degree immersive audio and panoramic screen stretching across the front dashboard. For the let's see what kind of power we have in this car. It hits 0 to 60 in about 4.8 seconds with a maximum speed of 149 miles per hour. It's not bad. It's not bad. And when you look at it, that all the tech that's inside of this car, from the get-go, as I said, it felt like this is a serious take on trying to make an electric car. I mean, why would you introduce this as a, as they say here, nobody anticipated at the turn of events as a manufacturer. They focus on the PlayStation 5 and CES 2020, and then all of a sudden, near the end of the company's presentation, surprised just everybody by just rolling this car out on stage. Nobody had any idea why they did it or that they even were working on a car. So they kind of kept it under covers for a long time, and obviously this has been under development for a very long time. Very good of Sony to not have any leaks during the development of the car. But as I said, I think they did this. The reason why I think they did this is because I think they wanted to just not put too much pressure on themselves. This is Sony's car. They don't really do cars. They do technology, great TVs, consumer electronics, and we're going to talk about how that implements in this design as well, because it really does. If you want to have a car that is consumer electronic-ish in its visuals, this is it. And we can jump into Photoshop right now, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean here. So this is the Vision-S here. It's a clean-looking design. It has I think it has a lot of Tesla in it there, specifically in the front end. Maybe some Porsche Taycan here as well, right there. But other than that, it's a very clean design, and I like what they did here. They didn't really focus on the emotional aspect of car design here, which is totally understandable. It's Sony. That's not what they don't do cars. They do consumer electronics, and we can see that it's not very emotional because we have so many parallel lines. So we have one line right here in the bottom, which is totally parallel, goes into the bumper in the front, through the body of the car, and comes back right about there. And then we have a second line. It has a little bit of curvature right here to add some emotion to this design. And then it continues into the shoulder right here, and also comes back in the taillights right there. And then we have a very smooth surface right here. The shoulder itself is super smooth with no sort of sharp angles or sharp creases to define it more. Totally fine. It's Sony. I think this is exactly the design language that they should be focused on if they want to create a car and if they want to create something different. And you can also see that the width of the shoulder is pretty constant throughout here, which also create this static product design feel. What I like about this design is the same kind of deal like we have with the Mustang Mach-E. We have the treatment of the graphics here. You have black pieces in the bottom right here, and the entire greenhouse, the A, B, and C pillars are all black. This brings the weight down. It's over 5,000 pounds. It's a heavy car, but you don't necessarily want it to look heavy. And what you do then is, as you know, you play around with graphics to make it look lighter and remove some of the mass by adding some black parts onto the car here. Another piece I really like about this car is this line here. I don't think you can see it right here, but it has a chrome trim piece that runs all around the car here, and I think it just looks good. It's a small detail that brings some additional sophistication to the design here, and it separates the black greenhouse even more from the rest of the body, which is a small detail, but it makes a bigger difference than I think they thought it would do. And for the graphics of the lights, this is similar to Genesis, what they're doing right now. So we have a light bar that kind of hides and comes back throughout the 360 of the car, even though it keeps the same line. It's like you have an ellipse that goes around the car and it never really goes up or down. So we have this line right here in the front. Let's make another layer so we don't screw this up. We have this line right here going into this car. This part right here, this is a light as well. And then the same height or the same line goes into the rear and creates the beautiful taillights right here. And this is a simple approach to graphic design. You can see it even better here. We have this line right here going across here and then connects to the rear taillights right there. Very simple, and it looks like there is one LED that runs around the car, but it's covered by some body pieces all around this part right here, and then just kind of shows itself a little bit here, then goes into hiding, and then pops back up here and into hiding here again, and then it comes back in the front end again. And this is very similar to what Genesis is doing with the two bar lights. Genesis has a double line like this all over the place. So that's what it reminds me of. And then we have another piece that is really cool about this car are the proportions. It's the typical EV proportions of this car. We have the A-pillar stretching all the way to the front end of the car, almost to the front axle of the car, in fact, and that is very typical for EVs. We don't see these proportions in any other type of internal combustion car because it doesn't work. We need to have space for the engine in the front and transmission and so on. So this is a very bubbly type car, which is typical EV. But it doesn't matter. It's not supposed to be a very emotional design, as I said, and having a short hood like this, it kind of ruins the emotion for me. But if it was any other type of car, that would be a problem. But since it's a Sony EV, it actually makes more sense than not. It's not trying to be. I think it's a very beneficial for Sony to have a clean slate to start from. They don't have any sort of expectations at all when it comes to the design or anything in general. They just have to do what they do best and focus on the technology of the car and design the car around what they do best. And then they can, as they have, outsource the other technology. For example, the batteries, the platform of the car. It's a company called Magna, I think. They outsource it too, and then just build everything on top of that without zero expectations. And it also gives it. I'm sure it was a fun car to be part with the design team on and designing this car, because you have absolutely nothing to look back to when it comes to other cars from Sony to take inspiration from, or that this car specifically needs to connect to when it comes to brand identity and so on. This is creating a brand identity from completely blank slate and from scratch. And that's kind of the dream as a designer, at least in my opinion. What I would want to do is to start from a clean slate. like Kia did in the in the 2010s with the Tiger nose and the complete redesign of the whole brand. Hyundai has done that as well. A bunch of brands have done that, but Sony is doing it right now, and I think they're succeeding pretty well with it. Let me know what you think about this testing and what really goes on at Sony. Are they really trying to put this out in production, or are they just still trying to figure out the technology before they even say officially that this is going to come out into production? As I said, I hope to see this in the roads, and these images right here just reminds me of home. Looks like Sweden in wintertime. Very beautiful scenery right here. Look at that, all that white and all that snow. Very cool. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.